This meeting is being recorded.
Are you obsessed with money? I know I have been and have been at different stages of my life. And the one and only Taylor from Life Goal Investments put out an amazing Instagram post, really with self-reflection on the 4 stages of his money obsession. We just got to break it down. How you doing, buddy?
Doing great. Thanks so much for having me as always. I'm excited. This is like half embarrassing, half, I don't know how to look at this. This was just the honest truth I felt about myself after my wife and I got done with the conversation. So
Well, I think that's always the best post, when you just have honest reflection. You get a little vulnerable. You get embarrassed by how you acted. So let's give a shout out to your wife, who really led the conversation. And then let's go through the 4 stages of your money obsession. And I'll admit, they hit home with me.
yeah, this is honestly, my wife has said this time and time again, and it's just true. I am obsessed with money. And I guess to the point of the post, kind of have gone through like these 4 different iterations of my money obsession, I guess. And even the post doesn't mention this, but just by way of background, like I grew up in a like perfectly middle class family. Like we struggled paycheck to paycheck like every middle class family does. We didn't have dirt floors. So I'm not saying that we were ultra poor or anything like that, but we were your run of the mill family. So kind of embedded early. And my parents were both grinders to make that living status be the case. So embedded early, we didn't have a lot of money to throw around, and that's kind of come with me throughout my career, I guess. But right out of college, I had significant debt, and I had a $40,000 paying job, and I lived in the New York metro area. So that gives you an idea of how much loose change I had rolling around at that time, and it was very little to any. So the first stage that I called it was just absolute necessity. Just I didn't have any extra money to spend on anything above and beyond basic needs.
So I just want to, if we can, put some numbers here. Round numbers are fine. When you talk about student debt, are we talking 50 grand, 100 grand? I mean, where was your debt load at that point, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, no problem. I had about, and this is kind of like, I was actually looking for some of this data the other day, and I don't have the specifics on it, but I'm going to ballpark it at about 60,000.
Yeah. Yeah. When I left college, again, I went to a JC because I had to pay for my college, right? I got married at 19, and my parents were like, dude, you're on your own. You're a married man. Go do your thing. So I went to a Dion college, which was like $4 a credit or something, which I paid for. Then I go to Santa Clara for 2 years, which is a very good local school. I think I leave my undergrad with like 40 grand in debt. I take a year off, and then I go back and get my MBA. All said and done, yeah, I think I had about, I think it was 55,000 in student debt when I got done. And to your point, necessity, I worked 2 jobs. I worked 2 jobs until my student debt was paid off. I didn't feel I could have a day off. Like I worked 7 days a week for almost 4 years, like 3.5 years, to pay off my student debt, because I didn't like it.
That's that grind mentality. I mean, that's where necessity is like, hey, I have to get out of this hole I've dug for myself. And it was a smart hole to dig, probably, right? You probably needed that college degree, but or did or didn't, whatever you want to say there. The other thing that was a little bit complex when it came to my financial situation, looking back at that time, was I was going to school at night for my MBA. So I would work during the day, go to school at night, and my company was flipping the bill, but I had to front the money. So it was like this cash flow situation where, again, it was essentially net neutral. I ended up paying a little out of pocket, but not much. Yeah. It was net neutral, but I had to front it. And then at the end of the semester, they would backfill me.
Yes,
it was another month or so after the end too. So it was just a little bit of a cash flow timing situation.
Yeah. So let's get to step 2. Cause again, I went through this and I'll admit the hard truth, but what is step 2 of your money obsession?
Yeah. Step 2 was the fun money. I don't know. I guess that's maybe what you call it. Now, I kind of hit my stride at about 6 years into my career, or even 4 years into the career. And at 6 years, the money from Wall Street had been accumulating. And admittedly, at this point, I was living in a $1,100 a month apartment. So a lot of my life was still super frugal. My wife and I were living in Indianapolis at this point. We had just moved out there, and I was wanting to show that I had, made it, right? So I went out and I bought a Maserati. So again, this is like the embarrassing one. This is the embarrassing one. And granted, I have always been a car guy. I've always liked cars, but for me to look at myself in the mirror and not say that that's a lot of why I did it was to say, hey, I'm here, I made it, I would be lying.
So you're 6 years in, you're probably 28, 29 at that point? Maybe 30?
Yeah, I think I bought it in 2016, which I would have been 28 years old.
Okay, 28. But you are so probably making six figures at that point, easily.
Yeah, I made a deal with myself that if I could after tax, this is crazy to say, and I don't know why I'm divulging this. This is embarrassing too, but if I made after tax enough money to pay for it in one paycheck,
Yeah,
that I was good to purchase it.
there you go.
And so
Well,
that was the rule, and I actually wasn't able to stick to it. I made myself get a few of them in a row, and then I was like, all right. And someone else had to talk me into it too, because again, I just kind of have this frugal nature.
Yeah. So I have one that's even more embarrassing. So I went through the same stage. I get to this, I pay off the student debt, right? That was goal number one.
Yep.
Then I quit my second job. I only have one job, and I'm an accountant, right? I think I'm going to call it 40 grand a year. It might've been 42, it might've been 39, whatever,
Yep,
right?
sure.
Somewhere around there. And I go out and buy a $60,000 car. How stupid is that? How dumb is that? I bought a pearl white Mitsubishi 3000 GT.
Those are cool. I'm a car guy, so I remember. I know exactly what those are.
Yeah,
those are cool. Little coupe, long front end, back spoiler,
big
round
engine,
light.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Exactly. So yeah, that was so above my means. It was so stupid, so dumb. And it was all look at me. All right, now let's get to phase 3, because phase 2 is embarrassing. Let's get to phase 3.
Let's get out of that topic. Yeah, phase 3 is like back to basics. Phase 3 is my wife and I realized, hey, and before that, I should say too, we weren't married at the time. The Maserati is, we were living together. She moved out there with me, whatever. But now we decide we're going to get married. We know we want to have kids, and it's like, okay, you can't be torching money buying a Maserati or whatever it is that you did before. Like, hey, let's get back to the basics. Mm-hmm. I've always had this comment that I've said to her, and she hates it, but I say it time and time again. Frugal is sexy. So I tell her frugal.
She doesn't like that?
That's it. And you know what? She's actually, when we first started dating, she was actually relatively frivolous. I was always really frugal. And now she is way more frugal than I am. And every dollar that we're able to, do whatever with is going towards the kids for her. So I'm like, Amanda, Amanda's my wife said, you gotta get a new sweater
Amanda.
or whatever, clothing once in a while. Like, come on, treat yourself. But no, it just, again, out of the need for financial security in the future for us, we went from, having fun and doing whatever we wanted to do at any point in time at a drop of a hat to saying, hey, let's not eat out as much. Let's, get the 529s together for the kids. Let's think about, the future for us in retirement and get everything as ironclad as we possibly can.
Yeah. It's really funny because 8 years in, you're now 30, if I'm doing the math right. That's exactly when I hit security as well. I'm like, well, I'm not the smartest guy around. I just lost all this money. I got to find a new way. And yeah, we just, we take a look at our income, and then we break down disposable income, which almost nobody does. And we focus on increasing that and buying assets on sale. And yeah, that was a long time. And then let's go to number 4, because I think we both got there as well. What's number 4 of your money obsession?
Yeah, I just call it, I quit. So at this point, this was just 2 years ago now. In 2021, I had worked for, the Wall Street firms, 3 of them in particular, for 10 different years, in total, a decade, and spent time, working with the ultra rich, trying to get their financials ironclad, put together portfolio investment, et cetera. And I said, you know what? I grew up in this one red light town. A lot of my buddies have $500,000 to $100,000 to invest, and no one's looking out for them. Let's take exactly what we did for those ultra rich people and bring it down in one ETF that can be purchased at $10 a share on Robinhood, Schwab, Fidelity, whatever it is. All that sophistication, bang, available to anybody that has $10 to invest. But to do that, going back to the money obsession side of things, is I went from making whatever I was making at the time on Wall Street to making goose egg, literally zero.
Yeah.
That's what, and not only making goose egg, but having to finance part of the project of building out this ETF firm out of my own pocket. And so I say our pocket, my wife and I's pocket. But yeah, so we go from making this substantial income, and thank God we went through the preparation stage of like, hey, let's sock away every dollar we can, because we wouldn't have been able to do this. I quit. I go from making money to paying money out to fund this project. And I didn't solely finance it myself, but nonetheless, I put a healthy chunk of money behind it.
Yeah. I went through the same thing, right? We get to a point, I have this one event, this one day, new sales year, don't like the outcome, quit. I went to work excited and I quit in a 15-minute, or 15-second kind of conversation. And I had to find that next thing, right? Showing people what's possible, talking about it, just trying to create belief and showing people the path. Again, this is a 10-year journey, right? We start from necessity, we do a little flash and dash, then we go back to basics, and then we can make other decisions. So money obsession works. I went through the same journey, maybe slightly different years length, but it was funny to read that going, yep, I did that too.
Flash and dash. That's a great way of putting it. Cause I think everyone that really kind of like makes it and has that ability, like at some point they do something stupid. As smart as we try to be with money, at some point you're going to do something stupid.
Yeah, I did. So yeah, $60,000 car when you make 40 grand a year. Don't be stupid like that. Yeah. At least pay for it or have the ability to pay cash. Yeah, that was dumb. Taylor, where can people find you?
Yeah, follow us at Life Goal Investments on Instagram. We're just trying to make finance and investing simple there. So at Life Goal Investments on Instagram.
Yeah, and every once in a while he embarrasses himself. So do me a favor, follow him on Instagram and tell him you came from one rental at a time so he knows his weekly time here is worthwhile. Thank you so much.